So what'd you want to be when you were a little kid? What was your dream? I remember when I was a little kid, I wanted to be a superhero. I wanted to be stronger than the average man. I wanted to have abs like an action figure. And I wanted to save people all over the world. I remember so vividly. But everybody else around me, all the kids my age, they're like, I want to be a superhero. I want to have powers. I want to be a rock star. I want to be a princess. I want to be a king. I want to be the president of the United States. And then middle school came around. I remember they asked me, hey, Garrain, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said the same thing. I said, I want to be a superhero. I want to be stronger than the average man. I want to have abs like an action figure. I want to save people's lives all over the world. What do you want to be? And then what they wanted to be started to change. And I noticed they started doing things like their mom and things like their dad. And it was less and less people wanting to be a superhero or the president of the United States. You know, that original dream that they said that they wanted. And I remember when I got to high school, and they say, what are you gonna do when you graduate? I said, I wanna be a superhero. They were like, tell me you don't still wanna be a superhero. I was like, listen, I wanna be a superhero. I wanna be stronger than the average man. I wanna have abs like an action figure. And I wanna save people's lives all over the world. And they were like, man, you gotta be more realistic. I'll be a lawyer just like my dad. I'm gonna be a nurse just like my mom. And everything was just like my dad, just like my mom, just like my brother. And it was so odd, because you started hearing things like, it runs in the family, it runs in the family, it runs in the family. But that's not what you said when you were a little kid. What happened to that dream? And then in the present moment, I remember as I graduated, and I was going off to college, and people were saying, what do you want to be when you go out in the real world? I said, I want to be a superhero. I want to be stronger than the average man. I want to have abs like an action figure. And I want to save people's lives all over the world. And everybody started laughing at me as they went to go work their 9-to-5 job out of security and fear to call another man or a woman their boss only to get paid less than their value. But who's talking about 9-to-5 job? I wanted to be a superhero. But my question to humanity is, have you ever asked yourself, why do I feel like something is missing? And you feel like you're somewhere in your life, even with all the money, even with all the so-called success, even with all the so-called happiness, when you look in that mirror and the truth shows up and nobody's around, there's this emptiness. There's something inside. And you feel like, I feel like something is missing. And then when I ask you, what you used to do when you were a little kid? And you say, I used to love to dance. And I ask you, when was the last time you danced? And you were like 20 years ago, but in the same breath, you say, I feel like something is missing. Well, let me ask you this question. If a little kid came up to you, if your son or your daughter came up to you and they tapped you on your leg and they said, Mom, 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 Dad, 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 for 20 years, and you ignored that child for 20 years, how do you think the relationship would be like? It would be like a dark and cold and empty and missing relationship, like something was missing. Well, let me tell you something. That dream that you originally had before you started copying everybody else, something that was already inside of you, whenever you used to run and you felt free, whenever you used to lay in the grass and look up at the stars, look up at the sun, look up at the moon and you felt so free, when you used to play in the rain and you felt so free, when you used to dance and you felt so free, when you ever used to do your art, your music, you're singing, you're playing the drums, and you felt so free? And it's been 20, 30 years since you did it? That original dream that you had was a dream that's directly connected to Source, because it was entrapped inside of your inner child. And every time you say, oh, I used to do that when I was a little kid, or an idea just comes out of nowhere like a flash of lightning, a ton of bricks, pow. Or this thing that you say, oh, somebody should create that. And you get this flash, this idea, and you don't act on it. And that thing you used to do, and you don't nurture it, and you don't act on it. That's your inner child that's been trying to get your attention for the last 20 years. And every time it comes up, every time that idea comes up, every time that creativity comes up, every time you remember something that you used to do that brought you happiness and joy, that's your inner child going, mom, 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 dad, 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 dad. And every day that you don't honor it, every day that you don't nurture it, it does the same thing on the inside to your soul, to your heart, to your spirit, as it would that physical child, as if you ignored him for 20 years. So what are you gonna do about it? Are you gonna do what everyone else does? Or are you gonna follow your heart? Because that day that you were born was assigned a date. And the day that we physically leave this earth will be another date. And on our tombstones is a dash in between. And every single thing that you're doing right now is what that dash is made of. So if you want that dash to die when your physical body leaves this earth, keep doing what you're doing. But if you want that dash to continue to live on forever, you gotta create a dream and live inside a dream that's so big that other people can fit their dreams inside of it. And that's what your dash can be made of right now. Your dash, we're all living inside the dash. Every last one of us. And every action, every thought, every word that you do is what's etching in stone what's created in between that dash. It's time for us to all be free. I'm talking about the real freedom. It's time for us to all be free. I'm ready. I'm a superhero, and we can do this together. Let's get this freedom.
We will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, thank God Almighty, we are free at last.